Welcome in on this very interesting day, the NBA trading deadline now. 4 hours away. Oh, yeah. Will the Grizz stand pat? What will they do? J-Mo and I will discuss momentarily. Just back from Tampa, the Tigers in a must-win situation. Win big in Tampa. J-Mo, there are a couple of moments, I think, particularly if you're in a league like Memphis is in, where you have must-win situations. Even Houston, which is going to be in the tournament. But if Houston wants to be on the 1 or 2 seed line, there are games they cannot lose. And they're really a stacked team, so I don't know that they necessarily have those issues. But Memphis has put itself in a position. I mean, look, they got 6 losses by a total of 20 points. That's slightly over 3 points per loss. Lord knows if things had twisted and turned where Memphis might really be, they'd be a top 25 team, but that's not the case. So last night you're playing a 149 net team, which, by the way, the Tigers moved up into the 30s off that win. I don't understand how that works, but it did. Maybe it's because Vandy beat Tennessee. I don't know. But you had a win last night. You felt the pressure that if you lose that game, pretty much you're going to have to win the American Athletic Conference tournament or you're going to the NIT. I'm just telling you, that is the sense of anybody who follows these things with bracketology, and you talk to the experts all around the country like our own Mike DeCourcy. You just knew you had to win that game, and they came out, and they did the deal. They beat them by 18. Anytime the Bulls got close, the Tigers just scored. They shared the ball. They had 20 assists. They turned over the Bulls 20 times, 12 in the first half. They had 30 points off those turnovers. But the most impressive thing was the way they worked the ball, the way they used their offense with picks that were set, easy buckets that were made. They played pretty decent defense. I'm not going to say great, but pretty decent. They couldn't stop Tyler Harris, who became the number 1 all-time three-point shooter in the history of the American Athletic Conference, and he was really pleased. And I'm happy for him. I really am. Came over before the game, shook our hands. He's a Memphis kid. He really misses it. Look, sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for because you might get it, and he got it. He wanted 30 minutes a game. He's getting more than that, and he's getting the ball. And he's an improved player. With the way that he creates space for himself to get off the shot with his quickness is pretty impressive. And he is a much more accurate shooter inside than he ever was in a Tiger uniform. It was impressive stuff. But the Tigers really played well last night in a must-win situation. Now they got to beat Temple again and sweep that series. That'll be a game Sunday morning. I'm trying to remember. I think that might be – it's Super Sunday. Temple's in town. It might be the Bill Laurie bobblehead. Or it's the Ronnie Robinson. I think it's the Ronnie Robinson. Anyway, there's a bobblehead. I hope everybody shows up because, honestly, I think this team is worthy of capturing your fancy. I think they're a fun team to watch now. They got 4 guys in double figures. They almost had 3 guys with 20 points. 2 of them had 20, and Keontae Kennedy had 19. Very quickly, I said it on the broadcast, when was the last time the Tigers had 3 guys with 20 points?
2016.
Oh, you must have been listening.
Is that right?
To me.
How
Yes.
about that? I just took a guess.
You know who that could be?
I have no idea. I don't even think I can name a player on the 2016 team.
It's interesting because it's the Lawson brothers, but not these guys. 2016, Dedrick Lawson, KJ Lawson, and the third guy no one would ever get, Keon Clergeau. They all had 20. So what is that, 7 years ago?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That is nuts. That's the last time. But Tigers get the win. Okay, so the big thing last night, and even our airplane is buzzing, because when we got in the plane, actually when we landed at about 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning, the word had come out that the Brooklyn Nets and the Phoenix Suns had a blockbuster of a trade. So, Brooklyn sends to Phoenix Kevin Durant and TJ Warren and 4 first-round picks, which, by the way, are unprotected. Wow. They have mortgaged the future. For sure. In return, they get Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and Jay Crowder. Which, they got a lot of wings now in Brooklyn. How would you feel about Jay Crowder coming back here?
That would be, I love Jay Crowder.
I do too.
Miami wants him too. In the first round picks, I believe are going to Brooklyn from Phoenix for Kevin Durant.
that has to be.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Phoenix has mortgaged their future.
That's right. Because but that's
look,
great for them though, getting Kevin Durant back. And people are saying now in Memphis, and little Memphis tie here, they think the Grizzlies might Mikal Bridges, because he doesn't necessarily fit in, even though he's very young, doesn't fit in with this young core the Nets have. The Grizzlies think they might have a shot to get Mikal Bridges now, which would be incredible. That guy's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate.
But does Jay Crowder fit into that crew?
No, he doesn't.
Would you rather have Mikal Bridges or Jay Crowder?
Oh, Mikal Bridges. Absolutely. I'll take Cam Johnson too. I'll take either one of them.
Because of the Cam Johnson, I like too. Somebody's going to go.
I would love that.
I would think, because they have such a crowded wing position field now that they would make that move. Nets have already traded Kyrie Irving, so the only guy left on that team is Ben Simmons. Oh my gosh, that team is. I'm sorry, I don't see that team. They're going to wait for all those picks to come in.
They have to. But Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges are good additions. Cam Thomas has scored 40 points in 3 straight games now. Not that he's the future, but he's only 21 years old too. That's a good thing for them. It's crazy stuff. Joe Tsai, though, the GM, I mean, that guy. People want a lot of blame is going to go on Kyrie and Kevin Durant because of how open they were about saying this is going to be, and that was Sean Marks, the owner, saying this is going to be a player-driven organization. Right. Kevin Durant and Kyrie are going to have input and everything. But Joe Tsai's the one that traded for James Harden and gave up Jared Allen and Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie the first time and all these guys.
So let me ask you this: do you think, because it all comes back to the owner, but do you think, because of the busts in L.A. with LeBron trying to be a GM, and now with Kyrie and KD trying to be a GM in Brooklyn, the player maneuvered, I'm going to bring 2 other friends in that can score like crazy that are names, that stuff's going to go away? The GMs are going to be really more in control of the way personnel moves and less star-driven.
I don't know if it'll be – I think the one thing that's going to go away from this is that they're never going to openly say or even privately say we're going to give these guys all this kind of creative roster control ever again. Because there's teams that are doing well with it, like the Clippers I'm terrified of in the West with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Even the Lakers, even with these additions, but even absent these additions, Anthony Davis and LeBron are a scary thought. Luka and Kyrie now are a scary thought.
And that's the other deal that was made. Lakers get back D'Angelo Russell. That's crazy. They couldn't wait to get rid of him. Now they want him back.
Right.
Russell Westbrook is exited. Malik Beasley, who was in the conversation maybe to become a Grizzly, at least he was the name. And Jared Vanderbilt, though, gets their 3-way deal.
Good play.
Because Minnesota's going to get Mike Conley out of Utah, and Utah's going to get Russell Westbrook.
And honestly, Mike Conley going to Utah in that group, D'Angelo Russell I love. We've seen him last year in a series. He does a great job. But Mike Conley in that role with how much better Anthony Edwards is playing and how much more of his usage rate is going up, Mike Conley might be a really good role at point guard to that team as well.
He might be, but it changes the face. Just think about this. Here's the starting lineup for the Phoenix Suns.
Oh, it's crazy.
The point guard is Chris Paul. The 2 is Kevin Booker. The 3 is Kevin Durant. The 4 is Torrey Craig. And the 5-man, the center, is DeAndre Ayton.
It's the best team in the West. I love the Nuggets.
By personnel,
That's the
it's
best team in the West.
probably the best team in the West. Is that team going to win a championship? And you know what? They've got how many games left in the regular season?
They played 50, like 30-something?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 30 games left in the regular season, sort of to get your chemistry, figure out how you're going to play, and then you're going to start the playoffs. I mean, that team could easily win the championship. Now, they've mortgaged the farm, but they could win the championship. What's going to happen with the Brooklyn Nets this year? I mean, they're like 10 games over 500.
Fourth in the East?
And that's it. I can't. Ben Simmons?
No chance. Hey, if Cam Thomas keeps scoring 40 points, they got a shot with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson.
Let me just tell you, that is proof positive of something I learned 40 years ago. When it comes to the game of basketball, you know, you're going to play 48 minutes in the pros. You're going to play 40 minutes in college. In the pros, most likely there's going to be 100 points scored. Somebody's going to score them. I don't care who. There's going to be points scored. And in last night, when you're down to the personnel they got, Thomas was able to get 40.
Hey, 40's not a number to sneeze at, though. But you're right, though. He takes 30 shots a game. He would do that if he was on an all-star game. The only way you hold a guy like that back is to sit his butt back on the bench.
I'm also starting to wonder, I think if you're going to have a big 3, it really needs to be a big 2 and a real serviceable role player. Like maybe the best guy to think about that is Draymond Green. You got Steph and you got Clay, right? And then you got a guy that just sets everything up. I think that's actually the better recipe for greatness. Look at the Bulls in their run years. They had MJ and Scotty, and then they always had a third guy that would be a rebounder like Rodman or Horace Grant played that role. You had a shooter. First it was Paxson, then it became Steve Kerr. It's amazing how if you have a big 2 with a guy that really will do the dirty work and the setup stuff, that seems to me to be the better recipe.
I got another one for you. Well, I got 2 more for you. I just thought of another one. The
All right.
Bucks with Giannis. Obviously, Giannis is a different animal.
Yeah.
Then you could say Drew Holiday, and then you have Malcolm Brogdon, too.
Brogdon is your setup guy.
Go to the Celtics. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Ooh, Jaylen Brown, man.
Then take your pick. It could be Marcus Smart. It could be Al Horford.
Yeah.
It could be Malcolm Brogdon this year on that team.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure, even with that lineup, although that makes you wonder, with Phoenix now, but I still think Boston is the best team, depending on what happens with Brown.
Agreed.
Now, if you haven't heard what happened last night, Brown took a shot in the corner and missed and went to go get the ball along with Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum inadvertently hit him in the face, and it is, I believe, they have reported a facial structural break.
Fracture, yeah.
Fracture, thank you. Couldn't think of that word. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's crazy.
And
Boston.
you get about 5 hours sleep.
But yeah, no kidding. With the travel and everything, yeah. But Boston Globe confirmed it this morning. He did have a facial fracture, so that
means you're out for a couple of weeks, and then you got to wear a mask, right?
Oh yeah, and I think it's the second time. Maybe he wore goggles the first time, but I believe it's the second time in his career he's had to wear a mask.
All right, so that gets us to what do the Grizzlies do, and I want to remind everybody before we get into that discussion. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studio. You have until Monday, and then it's over. The floor model sale, which has been so good with the lowest prices on the year, on pool tables, spas, patio furniture, and, of course, those great game tables, including a floor model arcade that starts at $1,200. You still can cash in on those deals until Monday. Get there this weekend. If you can't get there today, last chance for 2022 pools as well. All you got to do is get to I-40 and Wooden Road, Family Leisure, where family and fun all come together. You know our title sponsor, that's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, and I'm going to start telling you a little bit more about opportunities that you will have on Genesis cars. You want luxury? You want that basic, incredible longevity of Hyundai? Well, they've taken it a step up with their Genesis cars. And, we've got some deals coming your way. All you got to do is get to Highway 78, that's Lamar in Memphis, to the very first exit in Mississippi, right off the state line road. You get the Craft Road, turn left, go see Chris True and all the gang, and find out, I'll let you know soon, what's happening with some new opportunities on the finest luxury car that is Genesis. Okay, so a couple things about the Grizzlies. Seems to me they're going to stand pat. If you look at Zach Kleiman's history, his moves are made around the draft. They're not usually done middle of the season. The one guy whose name is front and center for movement is a guy who has become a polarizing figure with the fans, not necessarily his teammates, which could mean he sticks around. And I got a feeling he will. But Dylan Brooks is an interesting character, and I use that word. The first time I ever met Dylan Brooks socially was, I think, his second year. And, you know, he was a very polite, charismatic guy. He was on a date. We were all at the wine and food festival at the Botanic Gardens. Everybody was having a great time. He was engaging. He was, charismatic. As time has evolved, as his game has evolved, where he's become a great perimeter defender, an on-ball guarder, and a very average shooter, unfortunately for him. I think it's 40% this year total, 34%, which is his career average. That's what his three-point average is. He has taken on this persona almost like a character would in wrestling. He has become a heel. And he seems to relish that until the other night when he got booed. I got no problem with the booing. You know, it's because I come from Chicago and I've been in Philadelphia and in Boston and in New York, where if a guy isn't doing what he's supposed to do, the fans let him know. I'm going to give you 11.4 million reasons why it's okay to boo Dylan Brooks. And don't give me this, we don't boo our guys. Yeah, you do. I hate to say this, Memphis, but you booed a college quarterback. He's not, well, he's probably getting NIL money now, but I think the first time he was booed, he wasn't. And I'm not saying you should boo college kids. I'm not. Although with NIL money, maybe you can make that argument. But I am saying if a guy is making that much money and he's been around, and you're paying $300 to go see him play, and you don't think he's doing the job, I don't have a problem with that. Now, I understand the point of view where you go, he's one of us. You don't ever boo one of us. Okay. If that's your philosophy, it's okay. I'm not putting anybody down. I also think it's hurtful, and he's human. So I do think when he said F Memphis, that was coming from his heart.
It was.
Because he was hurt. And that's fair, too. I don't know if that's grounds for trading. And honestly, he is what he is. He's the best on-ball defender, where Jaren Jackson is the best rim protector. And those are two different things. I don't know if people realize when they talk about defensive effort. If you're on the perimeter, Jaren Jackson can't stay in front of you and stop you. But if you are protecting the rim, he sure can. He's as good as anybody in the game right now.
One of the best ever.
I think Dylan Brooks is a very good perimeter defender. If he's going to go one-on-one, he's going to try to shut you down. Sometimes he's successful, but, in the NBA, really good offense beats really good defense in this day and age. It just does.
You hold Steph Curry to 28 points. You did a great job that
Absolutely.
night guarding him.
Yeah. Who was the other guy he got threw the ball at him the other day?
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell. He was shutting down Donovan Mitchell that night.
That's why he got upset.
No, Donovan Mitchell got upset because he got hit in the family jewels.
No.
That's why.
Compounding mistakes.
Yeah. The key to this is, honestly, team chemistry. If you're going to win, you got to be a together team. I have not seen any evidence whatsoever from any of the Grizzly players, either on Twitter or leaked reports, that they don't like Dylan Brooks.
That's right.
And as much as he might become a distraction because of fans and media, if your players are with you and your family, and this team, up until this last stretch, I mean, they've been like a college team. College teams don't have to actually talk to you when they lose. Pros making $11.4 million don't have to say a word to you. It's incredible. I don't think Dylan Brooks gets moved because he does still have a prominent role for this team, and his teammates like him. That's why I don't think the Grizzlies make a move. I could be wrong in 4 hours. Could very easily happen. OG Anunoby is to me if you could get him and you got to give up Brooks for it, I'd do it.
The one thing about that is the Raptors also just traded picks to get Jakob Poeltl from the Spurs, and
so
that kind of indicates to me
they're going to keep him.
Maybe so. It may be keeping everybody.
Maybe.
Can I ask you a hard one to steal a quote from Brett Norsworthy here?
Yeah.
So I tend to agree with you in terms of the Grizzlies staying put. Do you think if maybe you take away that 11-game win streak and you take away the losing streak, and Steven Adams is healthy, so they're just playing, a little over 500 ball for this stretch, and there's not this big panic mode. Do you think fans or otherwise people are as insistent on a trade happening because Steven Adams is playing good ball, he's healthy, the Grizzlies are still playing well, or do you think it has to do with maybe some of the skid a little bit?
I think there's the skid and there's the controversy.
Right.
Because the Grizzlies have put themselves into a spotlight, and unfortunately it's become a negative spotlight. Part of it is the losing, but part of it all began with Ja going, we're fine in the West.
That's right.
Well, now look at Phoenix. You're not so fine. That's one. And then two, I hate to say this, but in the last few years, Dylan Brooks has become Grayson Allen-like. I mean, he can't help himself from going just that little step too far, doing something that is perceived to be dirty. And if you look, I did not see one major commentator, former player, anybody that said, well, Dylan Brooks really didn't mean to do that. He was just playing hard. It looks like he goes to hit Donovan Mitchell where you shouldn't.
That's right.
And that did not help him. So that was another impetus that was going, we don't need that. But I think in the long run, it's the skid and all these other little factors that come in. But I think Zach Kleiman is a pretty smart dude. I think Taylor Jenkins, although I don't know how I would know because he never says anything. But I think he's a good coach. I think they're level-headed enough to go. And I think he sort of gave us that foreshadowing when he basically said, we're forward-thinking. So we're not going to react to this losing streak and lose our path. And so in the long run, I get the sense a deal will not be made. One last thing before we go, switching gears entirely. We got a busy show. Russell Copeland's going to join us on the Super Bowl. I got a lot of stuff to ask him about. Ron Higgins will join us, and we'll talk SEC hoops and that win. That win saved Jerry Stackhouse's job, right? I mean, they're 12-12 in the year.
I hope it did.
They're 5-6 in the league. I mean, they're in 9th. They're not in 14th. They haven't won one game like LSU in South Carolina. So, anyway, we'll talk to Ron Higgins about SEC hoops at the end of our show. But I found this intriguing. So, the very first year of the transfer portal, that was 2018 and 19, 2,400 student-athletes transferred in football alone, just college football. That's staggering, isn't it?
Very much so.
The next year, 3,404. In 2020-21, 3,385. Last year, 5,592. And this year, 6,202 transfer portal athletes. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. The total, almost 21,000 student athletes. 20,988. What do you think the percentage? Seriously, I have no idea. This is all guess. This would be a hard one for you. Out of almost 21,000 in 5 years, how many of them are thinking to themselves, oh, what a great move I made?
All of them.
You think all of them?
I do. But I don't think I don't think they actually did. But I think they all, at least in the moment, think they all made a good decision.
I think when they made the decision, they think it's a good decision.
You're saying after the fact.
I'm saying after the fact, like the guys from 2021, 3,385, how many of them are going, man, I really am glad I made that move because I'm getting a lot more playing time, or I got NIL money, or this school is so much better. My major is going to be, I'm going to learn a lot more. I would say to you, at best, it's 50%.
I was about to say about half. Or less than that, too, honestly, because maybe they are getting more playing time, but maybe that school they were just at just took a big jump forward, like guys that might have left TCU or people that left Kansas State.
Well, just thinking about some guys, like I would have thought Eddie Lewis would have gone, I made a pretty good move here. Didn't win a championship, but I became a good rotational receiver, and he's moving again. So the grass is always greener, just does not seem to work. That's all I can tell you. And I would bet at least half of the 20,988 are going, what the heck was I thinking about if I stayed the course? But nobody does that now. And now with the enticement of NIL, those numbers are only going to go up. In 5 years, it went from 2,400 athletes to 6,200 athletes. Crazy. It is. I don't know of many industries that have changed as much in 5 years as the model of collegiate athletics.
No kidding.
We take a quick break. This portion of our show is brought to you by Conway, the good folks at Conway Services. Love talking about that. A breakdown in one of your home systems can occur usually suddenly. Call today, and Conway will take off $50 on any heating, cooling, or plumbing system repair if it's over $200. It's a new deal right now. Feel confident knowing the trusted technicians at Conway are really ready, and I know this for a fact, 7 days a week to fix your problem the right way the first time. Call or visit anyconwayservices.com area for details, terms, and conditions. Conway Services, 384-3511. We pause for a second. When we come back, Russell Copeland on the Super Bowl.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of a new Samsung laundry set with extra large capacity, serving up a powerful yet gentle clean in just 28 minutes. Making this the sound of savings on the best appliance brands. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Get up to 25% off select appliances, including Samsung. Ends March 1st. Pricing valid February 9th through March 1st, 2023. Gas Dry Extra. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Russell Copeland on the NFL, on the Super Bowl, of which he has played in that game. Kansas City is still a 1.5 point, I should say Philadelphia is a 1.5 point favorite. That game taking place on Sunday in Phoenix. Good morning, Mr. Copeland. I can't wait to hear what you will pick. Looks to me like it's the KC offense, slightly better than Philly's defense, but Philly's defense is slightly better than Kansas City's. This one should be a great game. Do you concur?
Hey, it definitely should, Dave. And I tell you what, it's just so many different storylines. And for me personally, first of all, as I celebrate Black History Month, it is quite fulfilling and it is fitting to see two black quarterbacks face off in the Super Bowl for the first time in the history of the National Football League. And you talk about it, quarterbacks get their legacies in Super Bowls and championships. And both of these quarterbacks have had tremendous years. And I think both are leading candidates for league MVP. And then you have to look at the storylines between the coaches and the teams. You look at Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. They have an opportunity to add on to their legacy. But what if they lose this game? What does it do to their legacies if they lose? And then there's Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. No one thought that both of these two individuals would be the right fit, would be able to lead their teams to victories and division winners, and yet they're both here leading their team to Super Bowl 57. And last for me is that you got two number one seeds, Dave. You have two number one seeds, and since 1975. It's only happened 8 times, and the last time it was in 1993 when the Dallas Cowboys played the Buffalo Bills, and I was a member of that football team. So it's been a long time since you've seen two number one seeds face off. So a lot of different storylines, the Kelsey brothers, things of that nature. But it's going to come down to the X and O's. At the end of the day, the execution for both of these teams.
Yeah, I love the Kelsey brothers story, too, and I love their mother when she was asked by the Today Show, what she was rooting for. She said offense. With both her kids on the offensive side of the ball. It's also Mahomes versus Hurts. You talked about it, the first time we ever see two African-American quarterbacks going up against one another in the Super Bowl. And I'll be honest with you, I can't believe that. That's just seems unfathomable. But, and I mentioned this when we were at Dinstall's with Jeff Moore the other day. These stupid notions that idiots had that African American couldn't be a quarterback in the NFL, and that's really only 20 years ago. Think about it. Like a guy like Warren Moon had to go to Canada because nobody believed he could do it. That's just hard for me to believe. It really is.
Absolutely, Dave. And I tell you, it's just the history. And unfortunately, Dave, we're not going to get too much into it, but it's really the black eye of what has happened in American history as far as an African American, a black person of color, as far as just living and also in sports. And the narrative was that one narrative was they were too athletic. to play because people don't understand. Tony Dungy was a great quarterback at Minnesota, and he was forced to play safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you know, the list goes on. It goes way back in history. You know, from 1923 to where we are now.
Well, you just educated me because I never knew Dungy was an offensive guy. I knew because and his coaching expertise was always on the defensive side.
Yes, definitely. And it's just a long time, and it just really shows you how much adversity and the narrative was that some were too athletic, and the other one was they were not smart enough. So they've had to fight against those stigmas. And we didn't even really talk about it. 1998 was the first time that two black quarterbacks were facing in the NFC Championship, and that was Michael Vick against McNabb. So that kind of was not in USA Today. So it's just been a lot to look over for. So I'm just, for me as a player, to see it for the first time, and I'll be glad when we get over that narrative and just say we have two quarterbacks playing. But it's really a great time in black history.
Well, you just spouted a term that I don't think we will ever hear again in any pro or collegiate sport, that a guy is too athletic. That'll never be used again.
It definitely, and believe it or not, it was said. It was said that the black quarterback was too athletic, and we need you to play wide receiver. We need you to play running back. Can you play a returner? And that's why most quarterbacks went on to Canada, and it's a handful of quarterbacks that went to Canada, and they won the championship over in Canada. And Warren Moon was one of those quarterbacks.
No doubt. All right, so let's go to Mahomes and Hurts. Hurts is a very good quarterback. No doubt about it. Philly's got the better defense, but I'm sorry. Mahomes is the best in the game right now at the most important position.
No doubt. I think he's the neutralizer. And when I say the neutralizer, for me, when I look at the 53-man roster, and I go to Philadelphia offensively, defensively, and even special teams, I think they're the better team. To me, they are the better team all the way around. Patrick Mahomes is that neutralizer, and I think we saw that last week when he played against Cincinnati. He had a bombed-up ankle. He had fifth receivers that hadn't even played the entire year, but he was still able to put together drives, to put together catches, and was able to lead that team to victory. He definitely is, but he's going against a defense that is very relentless. When you put a defense of line and defense up against the 84, 85 Bears, they're second, I think, or third with 70 sacks in the regular season. That says something. He's going to have to be able to get away from that defensive line, and it's going to come down to his offensive line. Can they protect him?
Let me just say this. I say it very biased. No team has ever been as good as the 85 Bears on defense.
I concur with you. But when you're listed with the 84, 85 Bears, that says something. And if you look at that defensive line, Dave, they are relentless. And I think that's the reason why they won against San Francisco 49ers. Yes, they knocked Brock Purdy out. Brock Purdy couldn't play, but it was a reason because of that defense. They've done a tremendous job. But what's really on the other side of that is that the offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs are number one in efficiency and pass blocking. So it's going to come down to the trenches, in my opinion.
And you favor, I'm guessing, Philadelphia in that regard.
I do because of the depth that they have on that defensive line. I mean, the depth that they have is. I mean, we don't even talk about Dominic Sue. Dominic Sue comes in, big baby, their first pick from Georgia. Right. He's a backup, but you got Brandon Graham, you got Fletcher Cox, you got Javon Hargrave, you got Josh Sweat, and then you get into the linebacker, 16 and a half sacks by Hassan Reddick. This is a defense that really can get after the quarterback, but if they can't put pressure on Patrick Mahomes, I think their defensive backfield is overrated. I think they've been complimentary, and they've had some good games because of the pressure of the defensive line. It's just really going to be a chess match throughout the game.
Well, and the Eagles can run the ball a little bit better, I think, than the Kansas City Chiefs.
And I'm glad you said about running. I think our very own Kenneth Gainwell will have an opportunity to have a big part, to have a significant role. You look at it in the playoffs, you look at toward the end of the year, he's been running the football more. He's been running the football in between the tackles. He's changed the pace back, and we know that he can come out of the backfield and catch the ball, and you can line him up. I think he can be one of those players that I put an asterisk by to watching that football game. I think he can cause a lot of mismatches for this defense for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm trying to think, how many Tigers have played in the Super Bowl? You have. Harry Shue did, one of the early ones. Henderson did. Gainwell's going to. Isaac Bruce did. Isaac
Gronkowski.
Bruce. We should. Jake Elliott and Steven Gostkowski. Man, there's a lot of them when you think about it. Probably, would you say Isaac, Bruce, the best Super Bowl performance by a Tiger?
I think so, but Gronkowski has had some tremendous kicks as well in the Super Bowl. You know, we overlook kickers, but I think Isaac, when you look at it, I thought he should have been the MVP of that Super Bowl. What a tremendous catch towards the end, the last seconds, the last minutes of that game. Great catch against Amari Rowe in that Super Bowl against the Titans. But yes, I'll say it's been Isaac.
All right, a couple of other. All right, you got to make your pick right now, and then I'm going to ask you a couple other quick things. Who do you?
I'm picking the Philadelphia.
I knew it.
Yeah, I'm picking the Philadelphia Eagles, and I say Patrick Mahomes is the neutralizer. But when it comes down to me, I think the defense will be able to put some pressure. And I don't know how healthy Patrick Mahomes is going to be toward the end of the game. Once he gets tackled, once he's thrown on that ankle, if he's hobbling around like he did in the last game, I don't think they have a chance. And then the receivers are banged up. I think the defense for the Philadelphia Eagles are good enough. They can bracket Kelsey, and they can mismatch and play man-to-man with the other receivers. That's why I give the edge to Philadelphia from a defensive standpoint. But Patrick Mahomes is a neutralizer, but I think they got a defensive line that can do that.
All right.
22 former Memphis Tigers have played in the Super Bowl.
What?
22.
I never would have guessed that. 22.
And a bunch of them played multiple times, too, like Gostowski's of the world and things like that.
Wow. I don't know how you found that like that.
I had to add them all up.
Genius,
I had to add them all up.
You're a genius. That's incredible. I would have said 10, maybe 12. 22.
That's amazing.
Holy
That's amazing.
smokes.
Going back to Super Bowl I, actually.
Wow.
Well, that was Harry Shue.
David Hathcock. Harry Shue was Super Bowl II.
Oh, my gosh.
Go Tigers.
Go
Tigers.
Man, now we just got to win an AAC and we're in good shape.
That's right.
All right. Michael Irvin off the Super Bowl coverage after a discussion of 45 seconds in a hotel lobby, which ends with a handshake. And the NFL Network, after a complaint from a woman who was a part of that 45-second conversation, talked to the NFL, and they took him off coverage. What is your take on that? I have no idea.
Dave, honestly, I really don't. I haven't really gotten into that, to be honest about it. I'll have to really look. I can't speak on it. I think it's very unfortunate, especially for Michael Irvin. You know, he's had some off-the-field issues before with drugs and things of that nature. Just very, very unfortunate, but I really can't speak on it because I haven't gathered all of that information. But it's really stunning and it's really shocking. But in today's time, you know, we understand it. We're in the media. We do different things, and there's a certain way that you have to conduct yourself, and you have to be very careful because you are a professional, and you have to be careful with the conversations and things that you have when you're in the public, especially if it's a setting with a person of the different sex. You have to be careful of how you approach that person, what you say to that person. I think that's very important.
Well, here's the thing that is most puzzling to me, all right, is that Michael Irvin didn't run from this. He went and did a radio interview saying, I don't know why. Like, if you're guilty, you hide away. He's not doing that. And they've got footage of it. It's only, according to him, 45 seconds long and ends with a handshake. What could he have done? It's the craziest thing because he's not running from it and nobody's talking. That's what is so weird in my mind about that. All right, Roger Goodell saying officiating has never been better. You buying that?
No, I don't buy that. He's the commissioner. You know, I belong to this elite fraternity. I played in the National Football League for 6 years. But let's be honest. The officiating has got to get the worst. I mean, there's been too many games that's been lost. I think there's too many hits that are called on quarterbacks that change the perplexion of the game. I just think it needs to be cleaned up. And I think you have to look at some of the officiating as far as when you go back and you look at the replays. I think some replays shouldn't be done. I think there's some replays that should be overlooked when it can change the perplexion of the football game. I think it's at its all-time low, in my opinion.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Last thing, you like the way they did the Pro Bowl? They're basically saying, honestly, folks, we're not going to hit. We're not taking any chances with careers. This is what we're going to do. I kind of like the flag football deal. What did you think?
Hey, it was different. I think at the end of the day, I think owners and everyone else, they have to protect their investment. And And I think it's good. And you look at the injuries and you look at the ACLs and you look at the concussions and things of that nature, I think it's really good. I think some of the players, especially defensive players, they may not like it, but it was kind of fun for me to see it. I really enjoyed it.
He's our man. That's Russell Copeland on the National Football League. We got a Super Bowl to talk about next week. Thank you, my friend. As always, enjoy the game.
Thanks, Dave.
That's Russell Copeland. He's brought to you by another Tiger supporter. That's Matt Eflin. Matt is such a neat guy. I'm going to give him a freebie here, because he's such a good guy. Not only does he have this insurance company, he now has this boat down in Tampa that you can charter. And he was living on the boat. He went with us for the Tiger USF game. What a unique individual and a guy that really cares about people, which is how he has tailor-made his protection for you through the Eflin Insurance Team. It's collaboration. He gets to know you. He'll sit down, get to know your family, what's important to you, what your budget is, and then he protects you the right way, whether it's your home, your auto, or life insurance. He figures it out. And if you've got a small to mid-sized business, he'll figure out your commercial insurance needs too. He'll learn your product, what your assets are, forecast you out, what's your budget, and then he protects you. All you got to do is call 901-386-GRR. That's for the Tigers. It's 4777. 901-386-4777. Get protected the right way. Get protected with the Eflin Insurance Team. We pause for a second. When we come back, we talk SEC hoops. What a big upset last night. We'll talk with Ron Higgins in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey fellas, Bill Russell here at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and you know it's February, and that's the month to show your love. The question is, how are you going to let your most special lady know how much you care about her? It doesn't matter if your favorite girl has been your wife for 47 or 48 years, or if you're just getting started with a relationship that you hope has real possibilities. Since 1985, Memphis gentlemen have been coming to Russell Brothers Jewelers to pick out that perfect gift for their sweethearts. Young men, older fellas alike. A ring, a bracelet, earrings, or a pendant. Jewelry is always the best choice for her. Much better than candy that will be eaten in 3 days or flowers that will be tossed out in a week. Come see us at Russell Brothers and let us gift wrap a present that will keep her smiling for a long time, and a present that tells her you care enough to give her the very best. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
The only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Download FanDuel and bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Join FanDuel with promo code WIN to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's promo code WIN. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus in select states. Must be present in select states to wager. First online real money wager. Only $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable sportsbook bonus bets, which expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. For Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, and Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit www.mdgambler.org in Maryland. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit www.1800gambler.net in West Virginia.
Hi, everybody. Greg Gaston for FanDuel. Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlays, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events that let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started, and be sure to sign up with promo code GASMAN so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code GASMAN. Must be 21 or over and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit is required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions do apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
Do you want a greener, more weed-free lawn? If you're like me, you can't stand the sight of dandelions, clover, or especially crabgrass. Hi, I'm Brandon Hawley, president of Lawn Solutions. We are your locally owned and operated weed control and fertilization company. We are also experts in disease and insect control on your lawn and landscape. Our uniformed technicians are full-time, year-round licensed and certified by the state of Tennessee. Lawn Solutions' personalized service is far more superior to that of national companies that promise but simply cannot deliver. We return phone calls, we keep appointments, and we want your business. What we will not do is bother you with endless phone calls or junk mail. Lawn Solutions will not sell you something your lawn doesn't need. If you're looking for a local lawn care company to kill your weeds and feed your grass, then Lawn Solutions is the finest. Call us at 867-5626. That's 867-5626. Or go online at LawnSolutionsInc.net. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for your business.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
To Baton Rouge we go. Our SEC historian Ron Higgins joins us weekly. Good to chat with you, Ron. The stunner last night was what happened with Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Vandy pulling off the shocking upset win on a last-second shot. Does that save Jerry Stackhouse's job?
Yeah, and I didn't think it was in jeopardy to start with, honestly. I mean, Vanderbilt's slow to fire people. They just, if they like the coach, they like his character, if they feel like he's doing correct things.
Well, you know what? They're 500. And in the league, they're 5-6. So that 5-6 is just behind Arkansas, Missouri, and Florida. It's ahead of Georgia, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, LSU, and South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and it was a good win. I mean, you can't leave the door open for Vanderbilt on their home floor. It's just a hard place to play. We know how unique it is, the configuration, and they just seem to, as they say, Memorial Magic. I've seen it happen a million times there. If it gets down to the final second, something crazy happens, and last night it did. And credit the kid. The pressure was on that kid to hit that shot because he was in the corner right from the Vanderbilt bench. The entire Vanderbilt bench jumped up and held their arms up when he got the pass.
I know. Yeah. First of all, how could Tennessee's defense be that bad? But let's just go over the whole scenario because it is like surreal. It's so impossible. With 14 seconds left to go in the game, Vanderbilt has only 2 team fouls.
Yeah.
So they got to start fouling. They fouled 5 times in a row. And Vescovy, of all guys, who I don't know if he's their best free throw shooter, he's their best shooter. He's got to be one of their better free throw shooters, right? He misses a one-on-one that sets this up.
I know it's just incredible, and credit Vanderbilt for. I mean, they get the ball down court. The president said, "We're going to call a timeout. We're going to set up something. 4 seconds. We're going to set up something." And they could have gone down there and thrown up something, but got the ball across half court, called timeout. 4 seconds. And they ran something, they lost track of the backside guy who ran to the corner, and there he was. And look, I'm sure that they've run that play in practice. I'm sure the guy's seen that backside option in the corner. But again, the guy had to hit a tough shot because it's right from his bench, and the entire bench jumped up when he caught the ball like it's going in. And the guy nailed it. I mean, he absolutely just swished it. I mean, give him credit. I feel good when stuff like that happens to teams who haven't, who've been losing, and it's been tough for them to get wins. That they played well enough to win that game. They just did. I'm happy for them. How much it'll hurt Tennessee in seeding, I don't know. I mean, at this point, you don't know. Vescovy was about a 77% free throw shooter, so he wasn't the best on the team, but he wasn't the worst. But that's a guy you want on the line. He's a veteran.
No doubt, yeah.
That's a guy, I'm sure Stackhouse is going, God, we had to foul that guy. Why we foul that guy?
Oh, he had to foul anybody he could because they were running out of time. I think it was 8 seconds. 8 seconds when he shot that, when he missed that 1-on-1. Here's the other part of controversy to this. This comes from a tweet that I read from John Adams, who for years has covered the Vols. His contention is on the inbound, with 4 seconds left, the ball got deflected. So the shot the clock should have started on the deflection. It didn't. I guess they didn't detect that it got deflected. And so it started when the guy caught the entry pass. And then when they swung the ball, if they had started it when it supposedly got deflected, that shot would have not beaten the clock. So I don't really know if he's right or wrong, but that's out there.
Well, I have to go look at it, but if it was deflected, the clock does start.
Right.
If it was deflected. Maybe it's something the timer didn't see. I don't know if it's the officiating crews,
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've watched the replay of it. Now it's from a wide deal. I did not see a deflection. That's not to say that there wasn't one, but it must have been hard to detect.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be really hard to detect, or they would have gone to at least replay to look at it, and they went to replay to look at the timing and to see if he got the shot off. So you would think if they looked at that, they saw the whole play.
Right.
You would think. So anyway, it's in the books. Vandy won one. Tennessee lost. The Tennessee drops to third in the league. A&M the second. A&M has just played lights out. I mean, they're not spectacular, but they play really good ball. Buzz is a really good coach, and
yeah,
gets a lot of mileage out of the team. They played pretty well. So, I like them. Arkansas just beat this one of Southern Kentucky and just handled them. I think Arkansas is going to make a nice run down the stretch and get another guy healthy. I think Lenardi had him like as a last seed in. I think they'll be better than that. Arkansas is going to be trouble for somebody if they get their last freshman they have back in the lineup.
Nick Smith? You talking about Smith?
They got some talent. You go into the second half of conference play now and see what happens. So, I mean, again, we review this thing, Alabama, A&M, Tennessee. I think you're definitely, you're 3 or 6 teams in. There's a battle after that. I mean,
you know what I'm curious about is, and you mentioned that it probably won't hurt Tennessee's seeding, but the Tennessee losses now, and what have they lost? 4 games overall this year? J-Mo, you were
5 games.
They're not 5. Yeah,
how many of those? Every one of them are against a team that had 40 or more net, right?
Yeah.
And not Arizona.
Okay.
I mean,
he's got a bunch of bad losses. I don't see how he doesn't move down a seed line to 3 after that loss.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, you can't. I mean, I know it was a road game. It was Vanderbilt. It was their home gym, but still, Vandy's not. They struggled, and you can't go into a place where a team has really struggled for wins and lose, even if it's a road game. So, I mean, that hurts. But it's a long way to go in this thing, man. Got another.
Oh yeah.
Got another month, so we'll see how it plays out. But Alabama's still kind of breezing along. I mean,
well, that's the only interesting game this weekend in the SEC, as far as I'm concerned. Alabama is at Auburn. That game should be a lot of fun. Auburn really needs the W to solidify their postseason positioning.
Yeah, I mean, they're 17-7 in the league, and they've been kind of up, kind of down. They've lost 2 in a row. So, yeah, they do need to win. But against Alabama, they only had a really what you call remotely shaky type games. But they got all the elements you need to get to the Final Four. I mean, they just got length, they got athleticism, they got athletes who are actually basketball players. And that's the difference between. To me, I'm old school. you can have all the athletes you want, but if they're not basketball players also who can make basketball plays, it doesn't do you any good.
I agree with you. Arkansas intrigues me. Kentucky, we'll see what they end up coming up with. Their loss the last time out was not a pretty one. So it's going to be fun down the final stretch. And, heck, we're not that far away from conference tournament. I mean, we got lots to talk about next Thursday, Ron.
Absolutely. You know, I watched Kentucky again. They're just soft. They're soft. You know,
Yeah.
Steve Blaze had a lousy year. He gets pushed around by bigger guys. They're soft. They got big. Arkansas just went right in their grill with it the whole game. And Kentucky's soft. That's their problem.
I couldn't disagree with you. I think you are, as always, spot on, and we'll talk about it next Thursday. Thank you, buddy.
Take care. We'll see y'all.
That is Ron Higgins, our SEC historian down in Baton Rouge. He's brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. What a place. They renovate with innovation. They bring all the modern amenities to your older home. If you don't want to move, you love your lot, you love your location, why would you move? He can make it a modern palace. Or if you're ready to build that dream home, he's the perfect guy. He sees little details, big picture all at once, and he's got experience. He's done it all. Go look and see what I'm talking about. KenGarland.com. And then call, because he's going to work with you. He'll give you exactly what you should expect when you're making the kind of financial commitment you're going to. He is going to work closely with you and give you quality construction on time, absolutely on budget. And by the way, if you've got some land, you're not sure how to utilize it, he knows. Or if you're looking for land, he's got that too. He's full service. He's terrific. It's Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. That'll do it for us tomorrow. JMO, we make our Super Bowl picks and some collegiate picks as well. That'll be tomorrow. Johnny Radio's next. Have a great day, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Woloshin here